What if the secrets to profound healing aren't just medical, but spiritual, and have been hidden in plain sight for centuries? This video dives deep into Goldsmith's revolutionary insights, unveiling the esoteric healing principles taught by Christ. Prepare to discover a pathway to personal transformation that goes beyond anything you've ever imagined. All right, friends, listen up. Let's cut through the noise for a minute. You ever feel like there's a whole other level to this spiritual thing that nobody's talking about? Like there's a cheat code to the universe buried under a mountain of sermons and scriptures? That's where our guy Goldsmith comes in. He wasn't about the pews and the preaching. Nah, he was that cool, quiet uncle of the spiritual world who leaned in and said, "Peace, wanna see the real magic." The stuff they didn't write down in the manual. He was all about pulling back the curtain on the esoteric, the hidden, inside stuff of what the Master, Christ, was really laying down. We're not talking about band-aids for your boo-boos. We're diving into the raw, untapped power source of unbreakable harmony. The kind of healing that ain't about fixing a broken body, but realizing the body was never the real you to begin with. Joel spilled the tea on how Christ operated from a dimension of pure, uncreated spirit where sickness just can't exist. It's mind-bending stuff, so buckle up. We're about to go deep, unpacking the vault and getting into the nitty-gritty of practices that flip the script on reality itself. You're going to want to catch every single word of this. And trust me, by the end of this, you're going to have some questions, and the answer might just change everything. So if this hits different, do us a solid smash that like button, drop a 888 in the comments if you're tuning into this new vibration, and subscribe, because this journey, we're just getting started. Indeed, friends, to get our heads around this, we got to boot up a whole new operating system. Most of us, we're running on the basic human-level software. You know, the one that sees a problem in the flesh and tries to fight it in the flesh. We pray was to a God's out there, hoping he'll reach down and tweak the circumstances. But Joel hits us with the cosmic plot twist that's not how the Master, Christ, worked at all. His healing wasn't an intervention, it was a revelation. He operated from what Goldsmith calls the unseen realm. This ain't some spooky ghost dimension, nah. It's the foundational, spiritual reality, the only reality, where what God knows is the only truth that matters. In that realm there is no absence of life, no presence of disease, no history of mistakes. It's the realm of pure, unbroken spiritual perfection. Christ didn't bring that realm nigh to the situation, he recognized it as the situation, even when the physical senses screamed otherwise. Think of it like this: you're watching a movie, totally gripped, right? The hero is trapped. The building's on fire. It's all very real and very urgent on the screen. But you in your chair, you're in a different realm entirely. You know the film is just light projected through a strip of celluloid. The panic on the screen doesn't touch your true environment. Christ lived from that chair. He saw the film of human life, the sickness, the lack, the fear, but he knew its substance was insubstantial. His power came from his unwavering residence in that unseen realm of spirit. He didn't wage war on the shadow on the wall, he turned on the light. So what does that mean for us? It means our entire approach has got to flip. We're not begging for a change in the picture. We are learning, through deep, silent humility, to align our awareness with the projector. The healing secret isn't a technique you do. It's a truth you acknowledge from a higher state of consciousness. It's realizing that the harmony, the wholeness, the infinite life of God isn't something to be manufactured or earned. It's the very ground of being, the only stuff anything is really made of. Your physical sense of yourself, the one that gets sick, that worries, that has a past, is part of the movie. Your real I am-ness, your Christ identity, is the aware presence watching it untouched. Healing, in the esoteric sense, occurs in that moment of inner recognition, When we let the noise of the outer scene fade and consent to the eternal fact, what God is I am, what God has I have. In that realm, the secret realm, the work is already done. This realization, this shift to the unseen realm, completely rewires what we call prayer. Most of us, we've been taught prayer is a transaction. We're down here sending up an order, please fix this, please change that, and then we wait for delivery. We're talking to God, explaining the problem, outlining the solution. But from that chair of the unseen realm, that kind of prayer is just arguing with the movie. It's accepting the illusion as the primary reality and then pleading for special effects to alter it. Joel Goldsmith called that meddling, and he said the master never meddled. So what's the alternative? It's the practice of what he called the silence. But we got to be clear, this isn't just being quiet. It's not a passive waiting room. This silence is an active, total surrender of the mind that argues, fears, and wants to manage the projection. Think of your stream of thoughts, the worries, the diagnoses, the memories, the plans as static. It's the noise generated by the human, sense-based standpoint. That noise is what drowns out the signal, the eternal fact of harmony emanating from the projector. The work, then, is to let that static fall away, not by fighting it, but by turning your attention away from it completely. You turn within, not to think better thoughts, but to reach a place before thought. You become still, not to get something, but because you are beginning to know that the only thing needed is already fully present in this moment, in this silent depth of your own being. This is where the magic happens. It's in this cultivated, deliberate silence that the human sense of things, the pain, the lack, the anxiety, loses its credibility. It's in this silence that the reality of the unseen realm, perfection, wholeness, what infinite life, ceases to be a theory and starts to become your lived-in atmosphere. In this sacred quiet, you aren't doing a thing. You are consenting. You are yielding. You are making room. You are, as Goldsmith loved to say, listening. And what you are listening for is not a voice, but a knowing. It's the dawning recognition that the I am that you are is the same I am that is God, and that this I am is the substance and reality of all that is. This is the healing action. The human mind wants to outline how the harmony should appear, which symptoms should vanish first, what bank account should get a deposit. But the silence heals by collapsing the very platform from which those questions are asked. You are no longer a problem, posing entity standing opposite a solution giving God. In the silence, you disappear as a separate seeker, and only the seeker being the sought remains. The adjustment, then, happens not to the body, but to consciousness. And a body aligned with a consciousness anchored in the silence of spirit cannot help but bear witness to that harmony. It's not forced, it's revealed. It flows naturally as a shadow follows its source. So you sit, you let go, you stop telling God the news, and in that profound, wordless, thoughtless surrender, the only power that is, does its perfect work, without your human hands ever touching a thing. This is where the rubber really meets the road, friends, because this shift into the silence forces a confrontation with our most basic assumption, the guy in the chair, the one we've been calling meh all these years. We've invested everything in that character, its biography, its ailments, its triumphs, its traumas. We think that's the real deal, the star of the show. But from the standpoint of the unseen realm, that entire character, that automan, is part of the projection. It's the costume, not the actor. Joel Goldsmith didn't mince words here, he called it an illusion. Not in a dismissive way, but in a factual, almost surgical way. The human sense of self, the personality shaped by genetics, environment, and experience is a temporary, finite form. It has a beginning and will have an ending. To believe that that is your ultimate reality is to be trapped in the movie, forever reacting to its plot twists. All suffering, all sense of lack or disease, springs from this one mistaken identity, from believing you are the character with the problem. rather than the boundless awareness in which the character briefly appears. The Master's entire ministry was an unveiling of this truth. When he said, "I can of mine own self do nothing," he was pointing away from the human persona of Jesus. He was showing that the power, the intelligence, the very life animating the form wasn't personal. It was the impersonal, the infinite expressing as the form. Your body, your history, or your personality. This is the Otaman. It's the specific, localized expression, but its source, its substance, its animating principle is the impersonal spirit, the I am. The Otaman is like a unique wave, the I am is the entire ocean. The wave isn't fake, but its separate existence is an illusion. Its true substance, movement, and life are 100% ocean. Healing in the esoteric sense isn't about fixing the wave. It's the wave realizing, I am not this temporary shape of water, I am the ocean itself. In that realization, what can threaten the ocean? What condition can stick to it? So our work is one of gentle, persistent disentanglement. In the silence, we aren't affirming better things about the outer man. We are letting the sense of being the outer man dissolve. We stop claiming its conditions as our own. A pain isn't my pain. It's a sensation appearing to the awareness that I am. A financial worry isn't lack. It's a fearful thought passing through the infinite consciousness that I am. This isn't denial. It's a profound relocation of identity from the periphery to the center, from the effect to the cause. You begin to witness the human scene without being hypnotized by it. You feel a sensation, but you don't become the sick person. You have a thought, but you don't become the anxious person. You abide as the aware space in which all of this comes and goes. And here's the radical thing. When you cease pumping your faith and energy into sustaining the illusion of the outer, separate self, its troubles begin to lose their footing. They have no anchor. They were sustained by your belief in their reality about you. When you are no longer there as a separate entity to host them, the entire framework for suffering collapses. The form may continue for a time, but it is increasingly experienced as just that, a form, animated by and transparent to a spirit that is whole, complete, and free. Now, this disentanglement brings us to the very core of the whole operation. The only thing that's actually real in this equation. If the outer man is the illusion, then what's left? What are we really? Goldsmith points us to the simplest, most profound declaration in any spiritual text: I am. Not I am this or I am that. Not I am sick or I am well, I am rich or I am poor. Just the pure, unadorned, unconditioned I am. This isn't your name. It isn't your profession. It isn't your relationship status or your medical history. It's the raw fact of conscious being itself, prior to any story. This is your only identity. And here's the universe-shattering key: this I am that you are is not separate from the I am that God is. It's the same one. There aren't two. The Master knew this absolutely. When he said, I and my Father are one, he wasn't claiming special privileges for the man Jesus. He was revealing the ultimate truth of every single one of us. The Father, the Source, the Infinite Spirit is the I am, and your awareness, your very beingness, is that I am, individualized as your unique consciousness, but not divided from its source. You are the place where the universe becomes aware of itself. You are God being you. This changes everything because it means your fundamental identity is already perfect, already whole, already complete. It can't be sick. It can't lack. It can't be threatened. It is the unchanging reality behind the changing movie. So when you turn within into the silence, you aren't going to find a better version of your human self. You're going to find that which was never born and will never die. You're going to find the Christ. And this Christ isn't a person who lived 2,000 years ago. That was the outer form, the Jesus of Nazareth. The Christ is the spiritual identity, the I am, that he embodied and revealed. And it's your true identity too. Healing, then, is the natural state of affairs when you stop pretending to be something else. It's what happens when you let go of the frantic costume of the outer man and just rest as the I am. You don't heal the I am. The I am, as your realized identity, heals the human scene. Think of it like this. You've been trying to fix a glitch in a character you're playing in a video game, sweating and stressing over its health bar. All the while, you've forgotten you're the player in the room, safe, whole, and completely unaffected by the game's drama. The esoteric secret is to stop manipulating the controller in a panic and to remember, fully and completely, I am the player. That remembrance is the healing. In that moment, the game hasn't changed, but your relationship to it has utterly transformed. The fear is gone. The sense of emergency evaporates. From this anchored place in your true identity, you can engage the game with freedom. But you are never again tricked into believing you're trapped inside it. Your body, your life circumstances become like that game. Something you experience. Something through which the infinite I am expresses, but never ever what you are. Your only job is to consent to this truth, to let this realization soak from an intellectual concept into the very marrow of your being, until there's no room left for the old, frightened, separate me to run the show. This understanding of your true identity as the I am absolutely forces a new way of engaging with the world. If I am is the only reality, then what does that make everything else? The people in your life, the challenges you face, even the body you seem to inhabit. This is where Goldsmith introduces a master key, a practice so crucial it makes the difference between knowing the truth and actually living it. Impersonalization. It sounds cold, but it's the exact opposite. Right now you take everything personally. Your boss's criticism is a personal attack. Your body's symptom is a personal failure. A world event is a personal threat. This is the trap of the outer man, seeing itself as a separate center in a universe of other separate centers, all bumping into each other. But from the chair of the I am, there's only one. One life, expressing infinitely. One consciousness, appearing as all these forms. So impersonalization is the practice of recognizing the one in the many. It's seeing that the person who seems to oppose you, the condition that seems to limit you, is not a separate, powerful, other out there. It is a form the one is temporarily taking, appearing within the one and only consciousness that you are. You don't fight it. You don't personalize it. You address it where it truly exists, not as a power outside yourself, but as a concept or a picture appearing within your own awareness. You turn from the outer form to the inner truth. If a disease appears, you stop seeing it as my cancer, and you see it as a suggestion, a false belief, appearing in the one mind. And then you turn to the I am, the only reality, and you rest there. You let the harmony of the one dissolve the discord of the seeming other. This is how you let the flow happen. When you stop personalizing, you stop creating resistance. You stop building walls between me and that terrible thing. You realize it's all occurring within the one infinite field of your own true being. So you open your hands. You stop claiming ownership of problems. You release your personal sense of grievance, of injury, of being a victim to anything. You see the world not as a parade of separate actors to manage or fear, but as the one infinite playing all the parts. Your neighbor. That's the I am, appearing as your neighbor. The challenging situation. That's the I am offering itself an opportunity for its own harmony to be revealed. This isn't passive. It's the most active power there is. It's the power that withdraws all belief from the illusion of separation and reinvests it completely in the reality of the one. In this space, healing isn't something you do to a separate body. It's the natural, harmonious state reasserting itself when the mental noise of separation, of me versus it, ceases. The flow Goldsmith talks about is the unimpeded movement of that one spirit. When you've impersonalized a condition, you've removed the logjam of your own personal sense of self, that was blocking the river. The intelligence that forms galaxies knows how to orchestrate the atoms of your body. The love that holds universes together knows how to mend a relationship, but it can't flow through a pipe clogged with my opinion, my hurt, and my plan for how this should look. You get out of the way. You see the condition not as a personal enemy, but as an impersonal shadow that can only exist where the light of the I am is being blocked by your own focused belief in separation. You stop shining your attention on the shadow and you turn back to the light. And in that light, the shadow has no substance to maintain itself. It was always nothing, pretending to be something, and your impersonal recognition of its nothingness is what allows the seamless, intelligent, perfect flow of spirit to appear as harmony in your experience. This brings us to the ultimate pivot in our approach, or the final piece that makes all the others click into place. We've talked about the unseen realm, the silence, the illusion of the outer man, the I am, and impersonalization. Now, where do we stand? What's the actual activity? It's here that Goldsmith makes a critical distinction that flips mainstream spirituality on its head. The goal is not demonstration. The goal is contemplation. The human mind, especially once it gets a taste of these principles, wants to go shopping. It wants to use the truth to get a better movie. It wants to demonstrate healing, demonstrate supply, demonstrate harmony, to prove the principle worked. But that very desire, that focus on the outer result as the proof of success, is a trap. It keeps you locked in the movie, now just as a more sophisticated director. You're still judging the projection, just from a higher spiritual ego. The master didn't come to demonstrate, he came to reveal. His healings weren't performances to convince. They were the natural, unavoidable overflow of his abiding in the Father. They were evidence, not the objective. So we move from an orientation of getting to one of being, from demanding proof to resting in knowing. Contemplation is that practice. It is not a means to an end. It is the end itself. It is the sustained, gentle abiding in the reality of the I am, in the truth of the One, for no other reason than that it is the truth. You don't contemplate to get a healing. You contemplate the wholeness of spirit until the concept of anything's other than wholeness loses all meaning and all pull on your consciousness. In that state, what is there to demonstrate? The harmony is already fully present as the only reality. You are soaking in it. You are aligning with it at the level of cause. To then turn around and look for an effect to validate your soaking is to step right back into doubt. It's saying, I'm not sure that was enough. Let me check the movie to see if my contemplation worked. That's the death of the flow. Contemplation is fidelity. It is the inner marriage where you give your attention completely to your true identity, without asking for a dory. You sit, not to manifest a thing, but to lose yourself in the substance of all things. You ponder the nature of the infinite, not so it will fix your finances, but because it is infinitely more fascinating than your finances. You rest in the silence of the unseen realm, not to pacify a symptom, but because that silence is your native land, and in it you are finally fully home. This is the esoteric core, the healing, the adjustment, the harmony in the outer scene. That's not your department. That's the department of the infinite spirit you are contemplating. It will handle the projection with an intelligence and appropriateness you cannot fathom from the limited human standpoint. Your only work is to stay faithful to the reality, to keep turning the spotlight of your awareness back to the projector, not the picture. When your joy is in the contemplation itself, when your satisfaction is in the knowing, not in the showing, you have entered the secret place of the Most High. And from that place, what needs to be demonstrated? The outer scene in its own time and way must conform. It has no choice, for it has no reality independent of the very substance you are now knowingly abiding in. The pressure is off. You are no longer a spiritual worker bee, trying to build a perfect hive. You are the sky, aware of itself, and the weather of your life arranges itself within that vastness, not by your command, but by the natural law of its being.